The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Eric Coleman with IIST and I will be the moderator for today's webinar, Leading an Effective Test Organization with a High-Performance Test Team by Tom Staub. We're excited you're able to join us today and set aside an hour to attend this webinar. This webinar is one of a series of free webinars to introduce the topics as well as the presenters of the upcoming SQTM conference in San Diego, California, September 13th through the 18th at the Sheraton San Diego Hotel and Marina. The conference focuses on advancing the test management and quality management professions by providing practical methods based on best practices. The ongoing theme of the conference, Practical, Proven, Feasible, keeps the focus on what works. To view the conference program and more information, visit www.qualitymanagementconference.com. Be sure to join us for the next webinar in the series, Improving Test Process with Measurements by Tom Staub, on July 9th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. To learn more about this and other webinars in this series, go to www.qualitymanagementconference.com. You may submit your questions at any time by using the question box in your GoToWebinar window. Today's presenter will answer as many questions within the time allowed at the end of today's session. This webinar is being recorded and will be made available for viewing within 48 hours at www.qualitymanagementconference.com. At the end of today's webinar, you will be asked to complete a short survey. At IIST, we strive to provide the highest quality educational resources for the public and would appreciate it if you could take a few minutes to complete this short survey. I will now turn the webinar over to today's presenter, Tom Staub. Tom?
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it. As I said, this is Tom Staub, and my presentation on this topic at the conference is going to be September 13th. So I hope you can join me there. I'd really like to have you there. This is a warning that I'd like for you to look at and read, just to let you know that the information here is copyrighted and intellectual property laws, covered by intellectual property laws. Okay, let's get started. There are three key words in the title for this course. One is team, the second one is high performance, and the third one is lead. We're going to be talking about each one of these topics as we get through this today, and what I'm going to give you is only a small part of what I'm going to be covering at the conference, because at the conference I'll have one whole day to cover this material, and today we've only got about 45 minutes to an hour. So when I find something, I usually go to my old trusty Webster's New World Dictionary. So when I went there and looked up the word team, it says a group of people working together in a coordinated effort. Well, that's what we do when we have put together a test team. And I'm going to be talking today about leading a team under the guise of you're forming a brand new team, but the principles still apply whether you're forming a new team or whether you're inheriting an old team that has been in place and you are now the new leader of that team. So there are several types of teams. One is a permanent team, and if you look at the graphics here, you'll see like the Thunderbirds, a baseball team, you've got basketball teams. These are permanent type teams, and your test team is going to be a permanent team. A temporary team is one that's brought together to solve a specific problem, and usually has a fixed duration. It comes together, solves the problem, and disbands. Then you've got a virtual team. Well, a virtual team can be either a temporary team or a permanent team. All that means is that all the participants on that team are not co-located. They're not in one location. So this creates all kinds of problems, And we're going to talk a little bit about some of those problems. So I said some types of teams. Well, we got sports teams. Everybody knows about them. We've got work teams. That's what we're talking about here today, is a work team that is a test team. We've got formal and informal teams. Well, the formal or informal team, a formal team has been brought together under the auspices of somebody. They said, yep, we're going to form this team. This is it. An informal team is a group of people that band together as a team to solve a problem or to do something. And you've got committees. Everybody's worked on a committee probably. That's a temporary team. It can be either a temporary team or a formal permanent committee. So committees can be either temporary or permanent. Problem-solving teams, usually a problem-solving team is a temporary team. Self-directed or self-managed teams. These are, a lot of people like to look at self-directed or self-managed teams, but a lot of times these don't work that well. You really need a leader to lead a team. And a self-directed or self-managed teams, a lot of them just don't get the job done because they spend so much time trying to figure out what they want to do and who's going to lead it and how are we going to get there, that they just don't work that well. And then I've talked about virtual teams where we've got people in different locations. These create problems in communications and how are we going to get together, how do we know who's on that team? So virtual teams are very popular now, but you just got to realize you've got problems inherent in that team. Team composition. You need a mix. People who consistently prove themselves is one of the groups of people that you need on this team. People who have not had the opportunity to prove themselves. I like these people on a team because they usually come in and you can see they've got potential. So you're going to bring them in, you're going to give them the opportunity to prove themselves on this team. And they are usually want to prove themselves. So what happens is that they really give you 100 to 110% on what you're doing. And you need the grinders. And the grinders are the people that just work day to day and they get the job done. You give them a task, they do it. And that's what I call grinders. And you need these type people to do the day-to-day work. Then you also need creators. And you can't have a team made up of all grinders because you're never going to get any innovation out of this team. And you can't have a team made up of all creators because they're going to spend so much time trying to create that they don't get the job done. So what you need is a mix of what I call grinders and creators. And you need to figure out the best person to bring onto this team to do the job that you've created this team to do. So let's look at, you've got team building and team development. The team building is when you're putting this team together. You're building the team. And team development is after you've got the team built, you develop the team members and what they're doing and how they're going about it into a more structured way, in the way that you want them to do it. So you're developing their skills, you're developing their processes that you're going to be using. So team building, a lot of people think of it as, hey, this is what we go off site and we have these team building exercises, the trust exercise or whatever. But really, team building is when you're building the team components and putting them together. Now, there are 3 C's, 12 C's of team building. First of all, you need clear expectations. The team needs to know what's expected of them and how you're going to get it done. Then you have the context of the team. Why are we forming this team? Why is this team together? Well, on test teams, if it's a permanent test organization, you pretty well have that laid out, but you need to be able to explain it and to put it into words. If it's a temporary test team that you brought together for a special project, then you need to be able to give the team members the context or the why this team was formed. Commitment. All of the team members have to be committed to this team and to the expectations of that team and to carrying out their particular part of the process. Competence. Well, that's where you come in as the team leader. You need to look at the competence of the team members that are either there, if you're inheriting a team, or the team members that you're hiring to come onto that team. You need to know what their competence is and how they're going to be able to handle the work that you expect them to do. You need to develop a charter for this team. If you're inheriting a team and they don't have a charter, then you need to write one, because the team needs a charter. They need to know what the expectations are, why they're together, and how you expect them to work together, and that they're chartered to do a specific job and what that charter entails. Now, control. The control is going to be developed by you, the leader. And if you're inheriting a team, the former team leader may have been used their particular style of controlling that team that doesn't match your style. So you need to look at all of that and see, does this fit my style, or do I need to develop let the team know what my style of controlling the team is going to be. Collaboration. You want the team members to collaborate. You want them to get together. You want them to be able to work together, because collaboration is going to be your biggest asset in this, developing them into a high-performance team. So you need to have collaboration when you're building this team. Communications. Communications is something that you really need to understand, and communications takes many forms. If you're all together in one location, You can have team meetings to communicate. You can have day-to-day interactions to collaborate and communicate. You're going to be using emails to communicate back and forth or with other areas. Now, if you're a virtual team, then you've entered into another form of communications, and that usually is a video teleconference or a Skype conference that enters into it, and you're going to be using this so that the team members can see each other and can know who they are, who each other is, and can communicate better. So communications is very important in high performance testing. Creative innovation. You want innovation. You want creative innovation, but you've got to keep it within control because you don't want people just going off doing their own thing. So creative innovation has to be innovation for the whole team that benefits the team as a whole and not what some individual thinks is going to be best for the team. Consequences. Everybody has to be responsible for their actions. So they have to understand that certain actions have consequences. You need to explain what those actions are and what the consequences are going to be. And you have to enforce those. So people have to understand that there are consequences to certain actions. Coordination, super important, coordination. You need to have coordination between the team members, coordination between you as a leader and the team members, and coordination with development, with the end user if they need to, or the any of the stakeholders in this system that you're testing. There's coordination going to take place. That they need to understand what the coordination is going to be, whether they can coordinate directly or whether they have to go through you, which I would not recommend or you're going to be in trouble. But they have to if they coordinate directly, they have to let you know that they have done this. If they're sending an email, you better be on a CC on that email. So lastly is culture change. And in the one-day tutorial, we talk about culture and the different types of cultures. And you're going to be changing the culture of this team just by bringing them together. You as a new leader are going to be changing the culture of the team. So therefore, just understand that the culture of this team is going to change through different interactions. So now we've talked about team building. How are we going to get the people together? And what do we have to have in place to build this team? Well, now let's look at team development. You need to decide the skills that are needed for this team. You need to find the best person to fill that need. So if you are developing a brand new team, your first thing you got to do is to figure out what mix of skills you need for this team. And then you've got to go out and find the best people to fill that need. If you're inheriting a team, you're going to lose members. And when you lose a member of that team, then you've got to look at, okay, what were their skills? Do I still need those skills? And if I do, how do I go and find the best person to fit that need for you? And you got to bring the team together. Once you have, let's say we're forming a brand new team, once you have got all of the team members hired, then you got to bring them together and you decide on each team member's roles. Well, I've said that you've got the skills. Well, then you've got to say, okay, Mary Jane, this is what I expect your role to be, and just go down and define the roles. If they you want them to be able to disagree with you. If they see their role different than what you see it, let them express that disagreement and hear them out. Don't be defensive. You want this two-way dialogue to take place as a leader, and you may go and say, hey, wait a minute, I hear you, but this is what I really want you to do. I think you'll do a good job, and let's revisit this in a month or 2 or 3, whatever you decide, but you want to define each team member's role. Now, there's one of the things that you may have heard this before, but let's go through it. And there are, I could say, 5 different stages of team development. It doesn't matter whether it's a permanent team, temporary team, a committee, whatever it is, when you bring a group of people together to form a team, there are 5 stages that they're going to go through every time. First of all is forming. Well, forming is when they come together, they're excited, they've been chosen to be on that team, and they're ready to go. They come together, and once they come together, then reality starts to set in, and they find that other people's personalities start to grate on them. Or wait a minute, I thought we were going to do it this way. No, we're going to do it this way, and you're going to have what they call storming, and they're going to argue. They're going to disagree. Just know it's going to happen, and you as a team leader have to keep this storming under control. You can't let it escalate, or it's going to destroy your team. You want to get through the storming stage as quickly as possible. And so you've got to make sure that just know it's going to happen, plan for it. You don't know how it's going to happen, but you know it's going to happen. So help them to get through this storming phase as quickly as possible. Once you get through that, then you're going to get to the norming phase. And norming is nothing more than they're starting to come together as a cohesive team. They've each got their roles. They know what their roles are, and they're starting to settle into those roles. And they're starting to get acquainted with their team members. They learn the personalities. They learn how to work together. And so that brings you to performing. Once you get to this stage, it's just it goes along day to day. They're performing at a high level. You've laid out everything. They know what their roles are, and they're going to perform. Now, The last one is not one that a lot of times you're going to see in this list, and that's mourning. And what happens, mourning takes place when, if it's a temporary team, when you disband the team, they're going to miss each other, and they're going to go through the stages of mourning. If they lose a team member because that team member got another job or whatever, they're going to miss that team member because, remember, they've been performing at a high level. And so when they lose a team member, what they've done is lost an integral part of that team, and there's a hole. So they're going to mourn the loss of that member, and they'll see that hole, that they're missing something. Well, you're going to go out and hire somebody new. Well, when you hire them, guess what? You're going to go through the 4 previous stages all over again. It's going to be much quicker because the core members of that team are still there, and it's the new member that has got to fit in and has got to become part of this team. So therefore, you're going to go through the forming, the storming, the norming, and performing phase all over again when you interject any new element into this team. If you are coming in as the new leader of that team, the team is going to go through they're already in mourning because they've lost their old team leader that they knew, they felt comfortable with. So therefore, you're new, you're coming in, so you're excited. That's the forming. You're going to go through storming because they're not going to like some of the things you're going to be telling them you want them to do. But if you want to get through that quickly, you're going to norm, and then you're going to all perform. So just understand that once you get through, you got to go through these 4 stages. High performance teams, they don't just complete projects, they complete them efficiently. So you may think that just a high performance team, they complete the project. Well, no, they complete the project, but they complete it efficiently. Rather than work hard, they work smart. There's a difference between working hard and working smart. When you work smart, you do work hard, but you also work with a purpose, and you work how to figure out how to get the job done the best way possible. They improve the efficiency and overall value of the company and the team. So when I say that you work smart, when you work smart, you really improve the efficiency and overall value of the team. High performance team has defined what success looks like. They know what success is going to look like when they see it. So they know where they're going. They know where they're headed. Their actions are guided by specific values. You and the team have developed these values together. You may have developed them on your own, but the team has to agree to them to make this a high-performance team. It's made up of the right people. Remember I said when you're building the team, you have to figure out what skills you need and go out and find the right people, the best person available to fit those needs. The people are in the right places. There's a difference between right people and right places. You can have the right person but have them doing the wrong job. to fit their skills. So that is up to you to figure out whether you've got the right person and whether you've got them in the right place in the team. And you need to identify barriers to success. So we know what success looks like. We're guided by specific values. So now, what are the barriers that we're going to face to succeeding? And you've got to know those. You've got to identify them ahead of time. Yeah, you're not going to get them all, but you want most of them. So you want to identify the barriers to success and what you're going to do to overcome those barriers. Plan to eliminate or minimize the barriers. So if you've identified them, you need to plan to how to eliminate them or minimize them when they come up. And there are going to be barriers that just pop up. Know it, own it, and plan for it. And so you need to conduct periodic progress evaluations. How are we doing? Are we on the right track? Are our actions right? Do we have the right people in the right places? So periodically you need, as the leader, to perform progress evaluations. So the high performance team characteristics. Let's go through these a little quickly and just know that these 8 characteristics are consistent with any high performance team. Every high performance team shares these characteristics. There's participative leadership. We're going to talk about leadership in a little bit. And there's a difference between managing and leading. So, but there is participative leadership. The team is aligned on the purpose. They're focused on the task, and they have a shared responsibility. In other words, you as a leader are not, you have the responsibility for that team, but everybody shares in that responsibility. They have a part of doing the right job at the right time. So there is a shared responsibility. They are innovative, you are innovative. You solve problems because problems are going to come up. You communicate very well within the group and with outside elements to that group. So you're communicative, you have good communication skills, you have got your lines of communication set up, open, and you're working them, and you're responsive. You're responsive to what people have asked you to do and what they come up and say they want you to do. Now, what are the keys to success for a high-performance team? First of all, you've got to have top management commitment. You cannot succeed without top management commitment to this team. Leadership and accountability. The accountability is your accountability to top management, your accountability to the team, and the team's accountability to you. So you need to define what skills are needed, the best person to fit those needs. You got to bring the team together and decide each team member's roles. I said that just to remind you of what we need to do. So, what are the team needs? They need common goals. They need leadership. They need member interaction and involvement. Remember, this is a team, so they need to interact with their team members. They need to be involved with the team members. They have to maintain self-esteem. That's your job, is to help them maintain their self-esteem. If you belittle them, a team member, you are destroying their self-esteem, and you're going to have problems. So you need to understand that part of your job is to help them maintain self-esteem, and if they have low self-esteem to start out with, help them build better self-esteem. Open communications. You cannot succeed without open communications. Group power. Remember, this is a team working together for a common goal, so there is power within this group. Attention to process. Mutual trust. Let's go back to attention to process. I've heard people say, oh, well, my people don't like to have a process. Well, yes, they do. When you hear that, watch out, because what it means is, no, my team, I want my team to be able to do whatever they want to do, and you're gonna have a problem. You need a process in place. The team members have to have mutual trust. They have to respect the differences within the team. Every person on that team is a human being. Every human being is different. So they have to understand and know how to work with the differences and respect each person's differences. And constructive conflict resolution. You're going to have conflicts, but you need to resolve them in a constructive way. I talked about bringing a team together. Ross Perot, when he was developing EDS, had a saying, and I like it, and this is what it is. Eagles don't flock. You have to gather them one at a time. In other words, you can't go to one location and find all the members you need for your team. You have to go out and gather them one at a time. Now, I said leadership was another word that is important in the title of this webinar and the tutorial that I teach. So leadership, according to Wikipedia, is a process of social influence in which one person can enlist the aid and support of others in the accomplishment of a common task. One of the best examples of leadership is the military, because the military believes in leadership, and they don't manage because Rear Admiral Grace Hopper, she helped develop the COBOL language. She has been in IT, worked IT for years. I happen to know her personally, and I agree with most of what Admiral Hopper had to say. First of all, she says, we went overboard on management and forgot about leadership. And what she said is, you don't manage people, you manage things, you lead people. And I said that the military that is one of the things that they harp on, is leadership. And this is why, is they believe that you lead people, you don't manage them. So we've got management and leadership. Every one of us has a preferred style. And my preferred style is leadership. Yours may be management. But only when you can bring those two things together. You're still going to have your preferred style, but you just got to know that you're going to have to use management too, or you're going to have to be a leader. So you're going to have to learn one of these skills and be able to use it. So when I was going through college, I was told that a manager plans, organizes, directs, and control, PODC. That was it. That was what I was taught. Well, guess what? I figured out there are more things to a manager than just those. A manager staffs, they coordinate, they budget, they strategize, they make decisions, they solve problems, they have logistics and supply management, they have time management, and resource use. So the four things that I was taught in college have expanded. And if you think about it, these are all the things that a good manager has to do on a daily basis. Managers have subordinates. They wield authority or power. They are work-focused. They seek comfort. They seek uniformity. They don't like the person that beats to a different drum. Let me tell you. I can tell you that for a fact. They see problems. They formulate policies to solve those problems. They take charge. They perform duties. They like formality. They plan around something. They don't work at solving the problem. They plan around it. They're skeptical. If you bring them something, their first reaction is they're going to be skeptical. They're going to want you to explain it. They're going to want you to go into in-depth. Well, how do you know this? So just be prepared. They're skeptical. They perpetrate hierarchies. They like nothing more than hierarchies. And if you walk into an organization that is top-heavy on senior management, just know that you've got a manager, not a leader. And they have a transactional style of management. And I'll go in on the one day and explain what a transactional style of management is. Well, there are two types of leaders. There's a formal leader, and the formal leader is the one that has been identified and has been named to be the leader of this team. Let's look at a sports team. The formal leader of a sports team is the manager and the coaches. But you also have informal leaders. Remember, if you watch a sports newscast on the news, sports part of the newscast, team leaders. And they're the informal leaders on a team that assume a leadership role. So you're going to have a formal leader, which is you, and you're going to have informal leaders, which you want to cultivate. You want them to be there. So, leadership styles, authoritarian, these are the ones that, and they're not really leaders, let me tell you something. An authoritarian person is one that dictates what you're going to do. They're a controller. I'm the leader, you follow me. A facilitating leadership style, this is what you want to get. You want to get to where you're facilitating the people to do their job and to do it well. And if you do that well, if something happens to you, there's somebody on that team that can step into that leadership role and fill in for you temporarily or permanently. So democratic, this is where I don't like it. And what it is the team votes and the team makes the decisions. That's not leadership. So, and then the laissez-faire, this is where, yeah, whatever. We'll just do it this way. It doesn't really matter. And I'm sure you've seen all of these styles of quote unquote leadership. And just think about what you feel and what you think of is the best style. Now, leader focus is influencing people, vision. They see ahead. They plan ahead. They inspire their team members to do their job and to go above and beyond what the team members think they can do. They have persuasion. They can persuade the team members to do things and not force it down their throat. They motivate. They form relationships. Now, they form relationships, but I have found that a good team leader forms relationships with the team members, both as a team as a whole and as individuals, but you can't be their best buddies. So there's got to be relationships, but you got to keep it somewhat at arm's length. Teamwork, listening. You listen. Don't start talking before they finish. So listen. You counsel. You coach when it's needed. Just know that you're going to have to coach. You teach. You teach them things that oh gosh, I've told you this 1,000 times. Well, you may have to tell them 1,001. You mentor. That's part of your job as a good leader, is mentoring your team members. A leader has followers. They apply influence where it's needed. They focus on people. They seek risks. They don't avoid them. They seek them, and they figure out how to work around them and to mitigate those risks. They pursue unity within the team. They want the team to work together. They see opportunities for the team to take on and to shine. They set examples. It's not, I'm following you. It's, you're following me. I'm leading you. And encourage delegation. They pursue dreams. They prefer informality over formality. They confront. They don't go around something. They confront it. If they've got a problem, they confront it. They are optimistic. They know if they put this team together, they know they can do anything. They strive for equality within the team. And they have a transformational style of leadership. So, where are you on a leadership scale? Well, first of all, the lowest level is people follow you because they have to. The next rung up that ladder is that people follow you because they want to. You have proved yourself trustworthy. You have shown that you're a good leader, that you'll listen to them, that you have the team's best interest in mind. So they'll follow you because they want to. The middle rung is people follow you because of what you have done for the organization. In other words, you've stood up to outside forces. You've taken the team's side. You've proved yourself with this organization. So they follow you because of what you've done for them. Now, this is the next one, is what you've done for them and for them personally. They respect you. You've mentored them. You've helped them. You've counseled them. So they follow you. They trust you. And the highest level on the leadership scale is people follow you because of what you are and what you represent. That's where you want to get, is at this level. And it takes some work, I'll tell you. Now, high performance teams are multifaceted. You don't, there's not just one thing about a team. Remember, you've got individuals on there, so you're going to have a multifaceted team. Remember, team building versus team development. They're two different things. And if you'll keep that in mind, you'll be better, more successful. And leadership versus management. Every one of us has our own preferred style. Learn what your style is and then what you have to do to cultivate that other part of the equation, because you're going to need both of these. And I will be stronger, be honest with you, I'll be stronger on the leadership portion of it, but I know that I've got to have the elements of management, the budgeting, the staff allocation, all of that stuff to be successful. And leading a high performance team takes courage. You're going to have to gear up and just step into it, knowing that it's a scary proposition. So this concludes this. I want to remind you that I want to be doing a one-day tutorial on this subject on the 13th of September out in San Diego. And I'll tell you right now, this is one of the most gorgeous settings you'll ever want to see. I was there last year for the conference, and I can tell you this is a gorgeous setting, and I hope to see you there. So I want to remind you that IIST is a leader in education-based certification and training. We offer public training, online training, on-site training, free webinars and seminars. So if you've got any questions, please type them. I'll be glad to answer them. And if you think of a question after this, be sure to send me an email at this address, and I'll be happy to answer it. Just on the subject line, say reference this webinar. So I'd like to thank you for attending, and I hope to see you at the conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, for your time today, and thank you to everyone for joining us for today's webinar sponsored by IIST, the leaders in education-based certifications and training. For more information on how IIST can help you or your organization, please visit www.iist.org. You can follow IIST on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube to find out more information about IIST news, events, and promotions. Thank you all again for joining us today, and have a great day.